All praises to Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakak. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. And this is going to be a lesson going into a certain point that I hear people mention all the time, by where they say, oh, you Hebrew Israelites can't possibly be prophets because you are not making any new prophecies, right? Now, what you have to understand when it comes to the Bible, right, is that it speaks about the end days or the latter days, meaning that from the beginning, there was certain prophecies and things that Yahweh already knew was going to come to be fulfilled, certain prophecies that Yahweh always knew was going to happen. Now, let me go to Isaiah, the second chapter, to show an example of this. This is Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 1, and it shall come to pass in the last days, right? So in the last days, it's saying that these certain things are going to happen. Now, we've explained many times as Hebrew Israelites what we believe Isaiah chapter 2, verse 2 to verse 4 is talking about, and I'm going to do it again, right? For another time that the Hebrew Israelites will have said what we think this prophecy is talking about. So here it goes. And it shall come to pass in the last days, verse 2, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. Now, we take this to mean that the day is going to come where the true Hebrew Israelites are going to be brought back to their land, right? And they're going to be exalted above every other nation on the earth, right? And other nations on the earth are going to flow towards that nation, the true Hebrew Israelites, which we believe is talking about us, the Negro, Latino, Native American, and anybody else that has a male parent, a paternal lineage of being an Israelite as well. Not what their mom is, what their father is. If your father's a Latino, Native American, or so-called black man, right? Or if your spirit vibes with this doctrine, you're an Israelite, man. And don't let nobody else try and gas you out of this and try and tell you, oh, it's racist on skin color. If you believe that this, what we're saying is the truth, it's because you're one of us. Now, if you want to try and be carnal and make it about skin color because you don't see too many people that look like you, then that's your problem. That's not our problem. That's going to be your problem, that you was too on skin color, not that we were. It's going to be because you was too much on skin color, man. Verse 3, and many people shall go and say, come ye and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. So the Israelites are going to teach all the other nations the laws. This is what we believe is going to happen in the future. And this is going to really be a continual prophecy that is going to get fulfilled forever in the kingdom of heaven. This prophecy is going to continually keep getting fulfilled. It's not going to be, oh, we just tell them how to keep the laws and then they just know how to keep them for the rest of their life, because they're not going to be under the new covenant, which is mentioned in Hebrews the 8th chapter and the 10th verse, which is why I named this channel that, because I love that scripture, man. I love that prophecy, right? It's going to allow us to be able to rest finally in our life. All of you so-called black people, Latinos, and Native Americans out there, all of you children of Israel that don't even know you're a child of Israel yet, all you people that might look like Chinese people, Filipino, but you've came across this doctrine and you believe it, and you don't care about all the things that you hear about people that look like you that sound negative because you don't think it applies to you. The reason why you don't think it applies to you in your spirit is because it don't apply to you. It applies to them. Just like how when men might talk badly about women that are a certain way, women that are not like that, they don't care about the way that those women are being talked about. Just like how men, when they hear men being talked about in a certain kind of way, they don't care about those men being talked about that kind of way because they know it don't apply to them. So when you hear us talking about so-called white people in a negative way as well, if you're a so-called white person and you know you're not like that, why are you getting offended for? You're an Israelite. So you can just make that fly over your head because it's not talking about you. You're one of us. But some of you are not going to believe that, and some of you can't believe it because you're not one of us. You are, in fact, an Edomite, the exact so-called white people that we're talking about. Those evil ones that were made and are going to be destroyed by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua were made to be wicked and are a bunch of demons that are never getting repentance. But there's other ones of you that clearly know right now that your granddad was so-called mixed race, and you hide it and run away and try and run away from that. And you'll be in the pub talking trash about your own people and about your own lineage, trying to blend in with a group of people that would have killed your, unalived your grandfather and swung him from a tree. And you're trying to blend in with them for favor in this world for a better paycheck and a little bit of a nicer life. But you're still cursed anyway because you're an Israelite and you can't outrun the curses by trying to blend in with a skin color. Verse 4, in fact, verse 3, the middle part. And he will teach us of his ways and will walk in his paths. So out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Now, this part of this prophecy doesn't need to happen multiple times because there's not going to be a continual times where the nations start making great weapons of war like tanks and all these things. Those things are going to be done away with and never get the chance to ever come back again. The heathen are not going to be given enough freedom. Just like how right now you've got, which when you really think about it, man, if Esau didn't have them himself, him actually trying to stop Iran from having nuclear weapons would actually be this prophecy, right? But he ain't fulfilling this prophecy because he's got them. But that's the kind of example of what we as Israelites are going to be doing in the kingdom of heaven. We ain't going to allow none of all these weapons of war that you nations have right now. We're going to do similar things to what Esau is trying to do now with Iran, where they're trying to stop them saying you are not allowed to have a nuclear this and a nuclear that. That's how we're going to do you nations. You are not allowed to have tanks. You are not allowed to have an AK-47. You are not allowed to have an aircraft carrier. You are not allowed to have underwater submarine. You're not allowed to have underground bunkers. We're going to do rid of all of that. You don't need no underground bunker anymore because there ain't going to be no need for no underground bunker. We're going to get rid of all of that. You are not allowed a ray gun. You are not allowed a space force. You no longer need a satellite in the sky. What for GPS? We're going to drag that down from the sky, man. And we're going to be the ones that are going to be the need to know about what's up in there. Y'all are going to need to fix up and realize what's going on Earth for starters. Y'all ain't even going to get that right. We're going to be the masters of the universe because we're going to be the first nation to master the laws of Yahweh. First and last one. All right? Now, these are the kind of things that we think about on a day-to-day basis. What are you Christians saying? And all you other people, Seventh-day Adventists, Jehovah's Witness, what are y'all saying when it comes to thinking about the kingdom, man? Do you think about the kingdom in this way? We do, right? For our conversation is in heaven, right? Our conversations on the heavenly things. We're thinking about the kingdom that we're planning to rule, man, not this one. I think about the kingdom of heaven all the time, man. Can you Christians say that you do? Or are you just thinking about flying in the sky in the so-called fake heaven? We are thinking about the kingdom of heaven being on earth and us living on earth, being able to sleep with women. Not no kingdom where you don't have a wife and we're going to have many wives. That's the kind of kingdom we're talking about. And the wives are going to be down with us having many wives and they're going to pick us a next wife. They're going to find us wives that we didn't even know that we wanted. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. And they're not going to care and they're not going to be jealous neither. They're going to be glad and honored to even be one of your wives. Where's a man got that on this earth right now? Nobody. A woman might see some big, handsome, tall Jake right now in the world and be falling over on him. But eventually she's going to get jealous and try and crash his life over. He tried to play me. He got me effed up. He was a narcissist. She's going to get disgruntled and try and screw his life up, man. And he's going to be in court looking simple as hell. If she decides to go on and play on a mad one. Like, how do you had these women try and accuse Kobe Bryant back in the day of a madness? Women that have tried to accuse Chris Brown of things back in the day. Even with this Diddy bopping shit situation, she tried to accuse him of all this and all that. But what was she under? But back to the last part of Isaiah 2 and 4. And their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation. Neither shall they learn war anymore. Right? And examples of that is what America does right now. But they are not the ones that are fulfilling this prophecy. We're going to fulfill it. But I'm using America, what they're doing with Iran right now, as an example of the kind of behavior that we are going to show. Because we are not going to have those weapons of war ourselves. Neither are we going to allow you even to have them. We're not going to need those weapons. We're going to be a weapon. Like, I don't really watch it and I've never really got into it that much. But when it comes to this whole Dragon Ball Z thing, right? The whole point of the Dragon Ball Z thing is, as far as I can see, is that each Super Saiyan and or each Saiyan character trying to become a weapon, their own self, trying to become a weapon, man. They're trying to turn themselves as deadly as possible. Well, that's what the nation of Israel is going to be like. One of the blessings is that our enemies are going to come up against us one way and flee from us 7 ways. And we're going to be able to do that without having a military in terms of military weapons anyway. We're going to be the military weapon. We're going to be that, man. Now, I went to Isaiah 2 to just show that it says in the last days, because you got some of these people that they want to say, oh, we can't possibly, Hebrew Israelites can't possibly know prophets. Y'all didn't know prophets. But then at the same time, they call us false prophets. But then they say that there's no more prophets left. But if there's false prophets, then there's still prophets left. But there's both false prophets left right now and real ones that are singing it real out here, right? And what are some of the prophecies that we as Israelites are speaking about? Well, I've got a few that I can think of right now. There's 2 in Revelation 13 that I can think of right now, right? Revelation chapter 13 and verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So what's that talking about from our perspective of how we believe this prophecy is going to be played out? Because we believe this is a prophecy. We believe that's talking about, first off, Esau going into captivity underneath us because he put us into captivity, but also all of you other nations that helped Esau bring us down. You're going into captivity underneath the Israelites, which is us, right? The people that the worst case scenario for who you people think that could be the Israelites is exactly who they are. The worst people that you could possibly ever hope to be the children of Israel, God's favorite people, is exactly who it is. Now, I wouldn't want to be in your situation, having to deal with that. Now, we got this prophecy as well, Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16. And the cause of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now, people say, oh, but you're just repeating a prophecy that's already been written in the scriptures, and you're trying to make out like that's something new for the modern world. Well, this hasn't been fulfilled yet. And there's not anyone that I've ever seen that says that they're in the Bible that really says that this has happened yet. I ain't seen too many people that would say that. So therefore, people that are alive right now on the earth can say what they think this is going to be. And that's what we are doing. We believe this is going to be a global event where a one world order government is going to announce that every single person that wants to be a part of this new system of finances, this new system of government in general, this new way of living where people are set up in this certain way of life that they're going to establish on the earth based on creating the earth in their own image. We believe that this is talking about that the MARK is talking about a micro CHIP. Write down the word micro, write down the word CHIP, and you will see exactly what we're talking about, because we've said this prophecy so much the way how we want to say it that now they don't allow you to say it like that anymore. So even that should be a suspicion on you people that want to say, oh, nah, it's not talking about that. Why would they care about us saying it like that if it wasn't actually the truth? Why would they care about how we're saying it? They don't care. All on the internet, they don't care about us calling ourselves niggers. We can call ourselves niggers all the day. I could say nigger 100 times in a row and the video would not get taken down. I could just say that word nigger 100 times and then afterwards say shalom and then upload it and it would be up there, no problem. But if I say the micro C hit word 100 times and then say what I think it's talking about, that is, and relate it to the MOTB, that video is not going to be up for an hour on the internet. I can almost guarantee that. I could almost guarantee that video would not be up there, that they would take it down. Right? But last part, verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the charagma or the name of the beast or the number of his name. We believe that that's what that prophecy is talking about. A global event that's going to take place by where the world citizens that are wanting to be part of this certain new way that's the largest, most worldwide way of people living now. You're going to have to take that to be a part of that way of life. And if you don't want to take it, you're going to be kicked out of it. Right? Now, people will say, oh, but that's just something that's already written in the Bible. Why aren't y'all making nothing new? We don't need to. The prophecies eventually end, man. Don't you people understand that? Eventually, there's going to be no more prophecies to be fulfilled, right? Eventually, there's not going to be no more things that have to come to pass. Eventually, it's all going to have came and it's all going to have passed. But there's certain prophecies that are going to be continual things that are going to go on forever. Like, here's an example, right? Here's an example. Here's a good example, man. Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 7. And Yahweh shall put all these curses upon thine enemies and them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. Now, we believe that that's talking about all the things mentioned in Deuteronomy 28 coming upon our enemies and staying on them forever, because they're never going to be able to be broken free from the curse, because they're never going to be under the new covenant. So that's going to be a prophecy, if you want to say it like that. That's always going to be ongoing continually, right? Here's another prophecy that's always going to be going on and be continually happening as well. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments which I commanded this day, that Yahweh thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Now that's a prophecy. And it shall come to pass, that's a prophecy, right? And it's going to be fulfilled eternally when we're under the new covenant. But there's certain other things that we're waiting for to happen that are not going to happen many times. Like, it's only going to need to happen once. Like, here's an example. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. Even so, amen. Now, how many times does that need to happen? The fact that this is only going to happen once is what's going to make it so great. Because if you wasn't there on this day, you missed it, right? The people that are alive, the Israelites that are alive in the kingdom after the kingdom's been established for 2 million years, they ain't gonna get to know nothing about this day. They ain't gonna get to have lived through it. Let me say, they ain't gonna have lived through it, man. And they ain't gonna. A lot of them ain't gonna. Well, none of them would have shame either and be like, "Oh man, when the day of the Lord came, I was a sellout and I was cooning for Esau, the so-called white man." They ain't gonna know what Esau was. They're gonna be so young in comparison to the elected nation of Israel that they are not gonna know anything about what Edomite was, man. 2 million years into the kingdom, Esau is gonna be long gone. He's gonna have faded off, man. Even I still know what an Edomite was, but even we're gonna forget what he actually looked like, though. Just like how if you've in this earth and you've got any loved ones that have passed away, you've got pictures of them, you've got them in your photo album, but how you see them in your mind is kind of when you go back and might look at a picture, you're like, man, that's not how I remember him looking in my mind. I thought that they kind of looked a bit different, and that's what it's gonna be like for Esau, man. But we ain't gonna have no pictures in no photo album. We're gonna forget about them, man. Now we're still gonna see people with leprosy, because that's part of the law, right? To how to deal with leprosy. There's still gonna be people with blonde hair and all that, because that's part of the laws as well. But they're not gonna be blonde hair with leprosy like how Esau's got blonde hair with leprosy. It's gonna be different, man. They're not gonna have that Edomite appearance. He's gonna be gone from the earth. The time of an Israelite being born with an Edomite mother, that's only gonna be able to be last for 1,000 years of the kingdom. After that, there ain't gonna be no more Israelites born with an Edomite mom ever. There's not gonna be a chance. But those Israelites that were born and they've got an Edomite mother, they're always going to be around, and they're going to carry, I guess you could say, somewhat traits, that particular Israelite, somewhat traits of having an Edomite mom, but they're not going to be an Edomite, though. They're not going to be an Edomite. They're going to be an Israelite, man. And who knows, Yahweh might not make any remnant of Esau's traits continue into the kingdom of heaven, because he could make a child of an Edomite mom and come out straight Wesley Snipes if he so chooses to. He can do what he wants to do with how we look, man. Just like how Esau came out red, but then the other Edomites came out red and they're still red to this day. Now, let's go to this as well, Revelation chapter 1 and verse 13, because Yahweh Shai is coming with clouds, but what's he going to look like? This is what we believe is a prophecy as well, that he's going to look like a so-called black man with white hair, red eyes, right? Red eyes, man. Now, people will say, oh, you're trying to say his eyes are fireballs. Nah. And I'm not saying that his hair is wool neither. It's like wool, mate. Just like how somebody could say about me, my skin's like chocolate. But it's not a dairy milk, is it? It's not a chocolate hobnobs, is it? My skin color can be easily compared to chocolate though, as most so-called black men can. Dark chocolate, milk chocolate, like some form of chocolate, mate. But are we actually made from chocolate though? No. No, we're not, mate. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 3, and in the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool. So people always want to say, oh, black people's hair is not wool. Of course it's not. We're not sheep, dumbass. Like, do we go bah? No, we don't, mate. We're obviously not sheep. We're humans, mate. I know you don't want to believe we are, but we are. In fact, we're more human than you. Because there's obviously something different about you Edomites compared to the rest of the world, because you're about to be good riddance. There's days going to come when you don't even exist anymore. The day ain't going to come when we don't exist. The day is going to come where every single one of us, after we're born, never stops existing. So there's obviously something special about being an Israelite, because everybody wants to try and be one, wants to spiritually be one, wants to try and make the whole world Israelites. But you'll notice that nobody's saying that we're all Edomites at the end of the day. They always want to say, I'm spiritually Israel. They don't want to say they're spiritually Esau. Why is that? If there's nothing wrong with being an Edomite, why don't they ever want to be spiritually Esau then? Verse 15, and his feet, verse 14, his head and his hair were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. Does that mean his eyes are fireballs? I don't understand whenever I hear people say this. They always get simple, man. Because if you say that a woman's skin's pink like bacon, right, and her eyes are sky blue, like, is she actually made from pork? No, she's not, man. You know what I mean? And are her eyes the sky? Obviously not. Or if you said that a woman, her skin's like caramel, right? Her skin's like caramel, and her eyes are hazelnut colored. Is she actually got hazelnuts in her eyeballs? No. Or if you said her eyes are hazelnuts, her eyes are like hazelnuts, does it mean her eyes are made of peanuts? And if you got a nut allergy, you can't go near her because you're gonna get swelling on your face because she's got peanuts in her eyes? Obviously not. Does it mean her body's made from caramel? No. It's a comparison. You know, like how you people wrongly, by the way, try and call people olive skinned. Mate, you're wrong on the colour for starters, but you try and use something to compare. You use olives. Now, olives are green and black though, and you're wrong with the comparison. But you all of a sudden know about olive skinned and all this when you think you've got something to say, but then you don't understand hair like wool and as white as snow. Does it mean his hair is made of snow? No, it don't. It's showing how white the hair is, and the comparison to wool is showing the kind of texture that the hair has. Simple as that. There would have been no need to say as white as snow. He's already said white as wool, or white like wool. So there would have been no need to make another comparison with as white as snow. But you people can try and say whatever you want to say. We're going to see. If he really looks like a so-called white man, we're going to see in it. Don't need to get on a hype. We're going to see. Verse 15, and his feet like unto fine brass. As if, does that mean that his feet is made out of metal now? Since you people want to get simple. No, it obviously don't. It's a comparison, man. It's a comparison. When you watch them Jake bodybuilders, right? When you watch an Israelite man that's been going to the gym for a hell of a long time and they do one of them bodybuilding competitions, in my eyes, right, their body looks like it's made out of metal, right? I've always have thought that since I've read these scriptures and I've heard this comparison with Yahweh Shai's feet being compared to brass. When you see Jake that have been going to the gym, man, especially a dark-skinned Jake, and they've really been getting it in the gym, and you look at them in these bodybuilding competitions, their body looks like it's made out of metal, like a statue, straight up. Now, you people can say, no, don't. You're just saying that because it's in the scriptures. I'm saying it because it's true, right? If you watch a Jake that's really getting it in the gym and just look at them, and especially if they're dark-skinned, if you see these bodybuilders, how they do it, they look like their body's made from metal, man. Actually, a dark person's skin, when it's glowing, right, and they're radiant, they look like their skin's made of metal. It looks like their body's made out of dark-skinned, dark-coloured metals, man, which would be brass burned in a furnace, or brass not burned in a furnace. But people don't want to sing it real out here, man. But we're going to do the singing of it real out here. So we don't need y'all to sing it. Verse 15, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in his furnace, and his voice is the sound of many waters. Does that mean that his voice is made from H2O now? Does that mean that he's got a Mount Everest, like he's got I don't even know the names of waterfalls right now off the top of my head, but does it mean he's got a waterfall hanging out of his mouth? Obviously not. It's a way to say how deep his voice is, man. Just like if you were to say that somebody roared like a lion, does that mean he's a lion and he's got a mane now? Or is it using an example of how loud he was shouting, man? Or if someone says she screamed like a banshee and all that. But you people just try and get simple because you're prepared to go every length that's possible to make us not be anything special in this world. But you've never explained these scriptures though. Now, I'm saying a lot, man, and I'm saying it because it's true and it needs to be said that we don't need to come up with no new prophet. We don't need to say, oh, tomorrow you're going to wake up and then you're going to tie your shoelaces, right side first, then left side first. And this is the book of me. And I'm gonna just write. I've got a few scriptures that I need to write, a few prophecies that I need to write down, because you're gonna buy a lottery ticket, right? And the numbers are gonna be wrong. Then you're gonna go down the street and crash your car. We don't need to come up with no prophecies like that. We don't need to write down no new books, because the time of the prophecies being fulfilled, every single one of them, is almost over. There's only a few more things left, really, to be fulfilled, man. And some of them are going to be continually getting fulfilled all the time. Like every single prophecy concerning the kingdom of heaven, a majority of those things are going to be continually going on. They're going to be everlasting prophecies, really. Like Isaiah 2, for example. But some parts of Isaiah, the 2nd chapter, the 2nd verse, the 4th verse, are going to happen once. Other parts where the nations flow into us to learn knowledge is going to happen all the time, over and over and over again. The prophecy concerning the Israelites' hearts being circumcised, so that we know Yahweh with all our heart and with all our soul, right? Well, the first time that we get changed as Israelites, that's going to happen once. But then every single Israelite that's born afterwards, they're going to be born with a circumcised heart. So I guess you could say that that's going to happen as an Israelite's being formed in a womb, that Yahweh is going to be circumcised in their heart. However, it's going to go and come into play. But people trying to make it like we're not prophets and we don't know what we're talking about, and Hebrew Israelites couldn't possibly be a prophet. What are you talking about? There's certain things that are only going to happen one time. They don't need to keep happening continually over and over and over again. They don't need to, because there's going to come a time where there's not no more prophecies that we're waiting for, man. It's just everything's happened. It's all been fulfilled. There's going to come a time when that happens, and if you can't understand that, that's your problem, not ours. That's not our problem that you don't get that. Because the same people that will say that everything's already been fulfilled, so then you're saying that this is the kingdom of heaven then? Why is the world so evil and wicked? Where's the Messiah? And that's why it's so funny when you try and make out like the small hats are the chosen, because where are the prophecies at then? Where's the Messiah? Where's he at? How did we miss him? I thought I would have been around to see that. How did we all miss it, man? Because we've been looking for something amazing to happen on this earth. How did we miss it? They ain't even got peace amongst themselves. They ain't even keeping the laws. They ain't keep making us keep the laws. If they were really the Israelites, all right, fine. Make sure that we can keep the laws then. Okay, you say you small hats are the real Israelites. Okay, I want to be able to have multiple wives as a man, and so do all my other fellow brothers out here on this earth that believe that they're Hebrew Israelites as well. Allow us that. Make sure that that none of the women try and complain and nagging our ears about that then, because we're allowed to under the laws that you're supposed to meant to be teaching us, right? And also there's some LG3T people around, and I can snitch and I can show you the certain roads and areas over here in the UK where you need to be going and putting out some judgment then and getting rid of them. I can point out to you where there's some idols, right, in many of these cities, and you're supposed to get rid of them. I can tell you all these different countries that have got weapons of warfare and you're supposed to be getting rid of them. Are you going to do that? No, you're not, because you're not the Israelites. Simple as that. You're not the people. So if you were the people, you'll be doing what the people do. If you were the people, you'd be doing what the people would prophesy to do, not by forcing it. It would naturally occur. It would naturally happen, man. So all you people out there, you want to try and make it like we ain't the Israelites and oh, y'all ain't making no new prophecies, you ain't wrote down no new books. There don't need to always be continually new books written because we're coming to the end of this. We're in the last days. That's why there ain't no new prophecies being wrote down by anybody. Because we're coming to the end of it all, man. It's almost over. Right? Now, let's get another prophecy. Because there's more civil wars coming, man. And this is a prophecy that we're also waiting for to show that we're nearing to the end of Yahushua and where Yahushua comes back. 2 chapter 15 and verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands, civil war. That's what we believe is getting ready to happen. Civil war, martial law, world war, sedition among men, people just rejecting anything that any kind of presidential so-called king or leader's got to say and saying, to hell with what you're talking about. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm rejecting everything you've got to say. I don't no longer trust in what you're talking about. For there, verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the cause of their actions shall stand in their power, meaning that if they can physically get away with what they want to do, they're going to do it. So all the evil things that people have in their mind that they normally don't take part in because they're scared of judgment, they're scared of the law, they're scared of going to here or there. Even though they might actually be able to do it, they're kind of scared that they can get caught. In this time, people are going to just do whatever their evil mind and make them think to do, man. And Yahushua mentioned in the book of Matthew, I believe it's the 15th chapter, all the evil things that are in a man's mind to do. But in this time, no one's going to care about those things. And since I mentioned Yahushua and what he said, I'm going to go to it and show the example. Matthew chapter 15 and verse 19. Out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murderers, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witnesses, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man. But to eat with unwashing hands defileth not a man. And people are going to happily defile themselves in the time to come. They're not going to care about the law of the land, and they damn sure ain't going to be caring about the laws of Yahweh in that time, man. The only people that's going to care about the laws of Yahweh in that time are the elected nation of Israel. Everyone else is going to be up for grabs on what they're going to be doing, man. They ain't going to keep that dignity. They're going to just be trying to play a survival of the fittest game, but we're going to be playing a survival of the faithest game around our end. We ain't going to all of a sudden lose our integrity now in the end of it, Lord willing, and be like, well, see, it's the end times now, and there's only bacon sandwiches around me, so I'm obviously going to have to eat pork because God wouldn't want me to starve. Just eat the bread, or don't eat for a while, man, and I bet you how would curb your stomach and make you not eat none of that food and find you some food to eat eventually. That can happen. Verse 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, martial law. This is a prophecy that we're also waiting to happen, man. Now, you people can say, oh, nah, but either way, even if you want to say, oh, that's not what the 17th chapter is talking about, we're telling you, as Israelites, that we believe World War III is going to happen, and that's a prophecy. We're telling you as Hebrew Israelites that we believe martial law is going to happen, and that's what we believe is a prophecy. We're telling you people that Yahushua is getting ready to come back and he's going to be destroying the rest of the world and saving only Israelites. That's what we believe is going to happen as a prophecy. We're telling you that there's going to be a UFO invasion on the planet Earth. That's what we believe is going to happen as a prophecy. Now, we've got Bible verses that we can go to say why that's going to happen, but we're telling you it anyway, that's what we believe is a prophecy. So even though you people want to say, oh, you ain't written down no books for these things, we don't need to. We've told you what's going to happen. And when it happens, what are you going to say? You're either going to admit that we were prophesying and telling you the truth anyway, or you're going to admit that they were saying it because it was written in the Bible. Either way, though, we said it. We either believed it was going to happen because we interpreted a Bible verse was saying that's going to happen, or we believed it because we spoke that and we felt like it was going to happen and it happened anyway. But either way, we believe it's going to happen, and when it happens, what are you going to say? Is it happening because we said it just of our own mouths, or is it happening because it's written in the Bible and that's what we interpret it as, and we interpret it, the script, the prophecy correctly? Either way, you're going to have to acknowledge that what we said is happening. Either way. Just like how what Hebrew Israelite brothers have said about Iran going into war with so-called Israel, right? And how America's going to be dragged into it. That's happening. It happened. It's going to happen in a real way where it's undeniable that that event has caused World War III. And you're not going to be able to deny that it's happened. You can try and say, oh, it hasn't happened because of the Bible. Okay, you can say that. But why is it happening? Because we said it was going to happen. And we're the only ones that said it. We're the only ones that are saying that a man, a so-called black man called Yahweh Shai, is coming back to the earth. Everything else, you can kind of somewhat hear other people saying some of it, man. But are they saying that a so-called black man called Yahweh Shai is going to come back? And he's going to gather so-called black people, Latinos and Native Americans in a UFO invasion of the earth? Have you heard anyone else say that? No, because that's far-fetched. That's far out there, man. That's a far-out belief to have. Like, if you say that to an unbeliever, you're going to be mocked. They're going to think you're insane. And they might be a person that believes in aliens, but they don't associate aliens with the Messiah of the Bible at all. So all the other things that we might say, someone else can kind of try and make out like they thought that was going to happen as well. Oh, plenty of people believe World War III is going to happen. And plenty of military people and people that watch into the economics are understanding that Russia and Iran and China and America and Israel, that of course that was going to happen. It was bound to happen eventually. It was bound to happen. But they can't say the thing concerning Yahweh Shai though, and concerning us being the Israelites and being changed to be immortal. These are some of the prophecies that we believe are going to happen, and we don't need to write no book. We're telling you it's going to happen, and it's going to happen. Now you're going to have to accept that it's happening one of two ways, because we're saying it, or because it's in the Bible, we're interpreting the Bible, and that's what we believe that the Bible's saying. Either way, you're going to have to acknowledge that it's happening when it's happening, and you're going to have to acknowledge that it happened once it's came to pass. You're going to have to. Verse 18, for because of their pride, the city shall be destroyed, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. You're going to have to acknowledge it, man. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, and to a great tribulation. The time's going to come where you're going to have to recognize that there's something going on that is not normal. And people are going to start being like, man, I'm not really liking the trajectory of this society. I'm not really liking how things are going, and it's going to cause them to crash out. Like, 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 16 is basically crash out mode. That's basically when everyone on the earth is going to crash out, man. They're going to crash out season, right? And I remember one brother used to say to me when I used to read, he said it, well, he actually never used to say it loads. He just said it one time, man. And I wrote it in my Bible after he said it, man. He said, what did he say, man? He said that this scripture right here is YOLO, right? He said Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 is YOLO. And after he said it, I wrote down YOLO, which means you only live once. I wrote down YOLO at the top of it, man. And I'm not going to read into this scripture, but I just remembering that, right? All you people on the earth eventually is going to be exposed that what the Hebrew Israelites were saying is true. Because when that lockdowns came, you people started wanting to run to the Bible. And right now, you've got high value men, right? You got high value men that are rich. They can get the girl, them. They always can find themselves sitting down with a pretty young thing. 2 pretty young things, if they so choose. They're nice stuff with the money, but they're still on the Bible though. And they're asking Hebrew Israelites questions on the Bible. They're intrigued, man. You got the comedian Corey Holcomb. He's going into the Bible. And this is a personal thing like that I somewhat think is going to happen with at least one of these super in the world Jakes, man. Right? That as this society starts to really fall, that eventually at least one of them only are going to be like, you know what? Fuck this world, man. And they're going to believe this Hebrew Israelite thing. And they're going to bait out a whole bunch of madness that's gone on in that world, man. They're going to bait out what some of you mans have been doing. They're going to bait up the waste, mans. Yo, they're going to bait out all the dark deeds that y'all have been doing, man. Dark deeds that they might have did, man. Just one of them at least is going to happen eventually, man. One of them. They're going to be like one of these people that were just heavy in the world that's real known, man. You already had Kanye West, which how much more famous can you get than that as a celebrity? You already had him talking about the Israelite thing. You had Kyrie Irving, you had Kodak Black, you had all these different kind of people. They all know. And as it starts really getting worse and worse in this world, and they start seeing how wicked these Edomites are, and they start seeing people taking the MOTB, they're going to start being like, you know what, fuck this. Them man are right, man. But they're going to have to humble themselves and recognize that their celebrity status does not make them a higher rank because they was higher ranked in the world. They're going to have to humble themselves, man. And right now, they're not able to do that because they're celebrity. They're famous. They're rich. They might be, some of these Jake might be richer than all of a whole camp. So like they might be richer than every single member of an IUIC, for example. They might be richer than every single member combined of an ISUPK, every single member combined of a Great Millstone. They might be more rich and wealthy than every single Hebrew Israelite in general. Kanye West probably was, right? Kanye West was worth billions, right? He probably worth more than every single person that calls himself a Hebrew Israelite from GMS, so-called Sakaris and that, Genesis, right? ISUPK, IOIC, he probably got more money than all of them. And from what you hear, Nate's got the bag out here, but he probably had more money than every single Hebrew Israelite combined, and he still came to what we're talking about. He still had to mention it, man. It was playing on his mind that he had to mention it. Now, whether it was for some to try and do something for Esau or not, or not, doesn't matter. But the point is he did it. He had to mention it, man. Yet people are trying to make it like what we're saying as Israelites isn't affecting the world. It affects you. You people are being heavily affected by this, and we don't need. I'm gonna say it again. We don't need to write down no new prophecies in no books and write no new books of the Bible and nothing like that, because the things that we're waiting to happen are almost fulfilled now. Another thing that we can say, and we can go to the Bible and interpret the Bible and say this is why we think it's going to happen, but we also can just say in general, we believe as Hebrew Israelites that America is Babylon the Great, right? And it's going to get destroyed by all of its former allies in a nuclear war. Now, the reason why we say that we believe that is because we interpret America as Babylon the Great in the scriptures, and we interpret the burning with fire that Babylon's going to get as nuclear war, nuclear weapon fire, right? Nuclear destruction. But even if you're trying to say that we're wrong about the interpretation of Revelation 18, when America gets destroyed with nuclear fire, how are you going to explain why it's happening there? Is it happening because we're the ones saying it? Nobody else is saying that. They believe that's going to happen. But we're saying it's going to happen. So when it happens, how are you going to explain it? Is it because we said it in general and we was prophesying? Or is it because it's written in the Bible and we were prophesying and interpreting Revelation 18 as a prophecy concerning America getting destroyed? But either way, we're prophesying that America is going to be destroyed. So don't try and make it like we ain't making no prophecies and saying nothing out here that nobody else ain't saying, because we are. And when these things happen, what are you going to say? What are you going to say, man? Because as much as people try and make it like the Hebrew Israelites don't know what they're talking about, when them 9 towers, them 9 you know what towers went down, man. When them towers went down, didn't they grab up the apostles of Great Millstone? So why was they grabbing them up for? Because they was watching them. Why would they grab them up for? Men that just read the Bible on the street. What's that got to do with anything to do with that? Why was they grabbing them up for, man? Because they were reading the Bible. And you think that the same thing ain't going to happen in the time of the future, that they're going to be trying to run upon Israelites. But you people aren't real, man. And I wonder how many of you people in the world are prepared to lose your head, literally, for not taking the MOTB. I wonder how many you're going to have to decide whether you're prepared to or not. We're prepared to, Lord willing, man. We're prepared to. And I'm going to end the lesson there, man. I just wanted to talk about that because a lot of people try and always make out like the Hebrew Israelites, oh, you ain't writing no new books. You ain't got no prophecies. You ain't got nothing that you're waiting for. And honestly, you people don't really know what you're talking about, right? You don't know. I'm gonna say shalom, shalom.